Hello friends, Patrick here from AvidMax doing a Tying Tuesday for you. Today is going to be the Penny Dreadful, a little pattern I came up with when I was in the back. I saw this Semperfli Perdigon body iridescent copper and I absolutely fell in love with it because it's beautiful stuff. So I picked some up, wanted to put something together for you, and this is it, the Penny Dreadful. So here we go. To start this one off, it's a little strange, because we need to get that crystal flash in the bead first to get the wing out front. So take a little bit of thread, make a little lasso as you see there, open loop, put the flash through that little lasso right there. Pull it down. This little bundle helps me get all of this flash through the bead. So there we see the bead on that little bit of thread, slide it down, and then pull all that flash through the bead. Just like that. So now, crystal flash pulled through the bead. Then we insert the hook, as we would do normally with any bead. And a tight fit is a good fit on this one. Keeps things from moving around on you as you're tying it. There we go. Settle everything in place, just like that. Cut off this little bit of thread up front, leave a little bit for the very, very end. Get most of it out of the way while we're doing the tying. Make sure our bead is settled up front. Then we can start going. Thread is Semperfli NanoSilk 50 denier in copper, you know, Penny Dreadful. Start it going, just pin it down a little bit. Sometimes that bead will slide around on you, just slide it back, keep going. Once you've got a couple wraps on the crystal flash there, tie it off, or cut it off I should say, a little bit of an angle to give the body a little bit better taper as we go down. And I should mention the crystal flash I'm using, Hareline Crystal Flash in root beer. In the camera there. Hareline Crystal Flash root beer. Just because it has that copper tone to it and then a little bit of that green reflectiveness like a worn penny would have. Secure all that crystal flash down the shank. And I'm using a Firehole 520. This is a size 16, so there's a lot of real estate on this shank. Even with a big old bead, lots of things up front, you can still do quite a bit with it, go quite a ways down. Alright. Tailing material, just some Coq de Leon in brown. You can use whatever color you like. Brown close to being on theme for this one, so we'll go with that. Get everything into position as it should be. Pull that tail to your desired length. There we go. All settled into place. Snip off the extra up front. Get that tail a little bit further down. Like I mentioned, got a lot of space on the shank. Come back up. For this one, since that Semperfli Perdigon body is partially transparent, on the spool you can see the color. It just imparts that little tone. But once you go over the fly itself, over the body of the fly, it definitely takes on the tone of the thread that is under. So your thread color will matter for this fly, especially if you're using this Semperfli Perdigon body. It's going to take on an undertone of the thread underneath. Get that wire in place. And this is UTC Ultra Wire, also copper, size small. There you go. Get it lined up as much as you can with the shank. Make things nice and elegant, all in line if possible. Then we'll also get this Perdigon body in here. Tinsel. There we go. Pull to length. Try not to clip off material when I can. I'm very miserly, very stingy with all my materials. Waste not, want not. That's what I always say. Lay everything down toward the tail. Right there. Wrap back up the shank. Then give it a quick little whip finish so we can get the thread out of the way for the next steps. There we go. Not going anywhere on us. So, next step will be to wrap up this Perdigon body tinsel all over the body. I'll just start off a little bit how I start it. Since this stuff is so narrow, it takes forever to wrap a single nymph with it. But it is what it is, and nothing can be substituted for it because this is the only one I've found with the color that it has, the color that I want, the color that I fell in love with. So I started from the tail end, wide wraps going up the shank, and then with the help of a little movie magic, you'll see the final body wrapped up in just a second. Alright friends, now we got the body all wrapped up with the tinsel. Gonna take our wire, start going around, wrap up the body, give it a little rib, give it a little accent, give it a little more. There we go. Back at the head. Tie off the wire as you would any other nymph, any other pattern. A little helicopter to get it out of the way. There we go. And at this point, I like to hit it with Solarez Bone Dry Plus. I think it gives the body a little bit more shine, a little bit more accent. You see a little bit more of the green come out. There we go. Spread that out. Make sure it gets into every little nook and cranny between the wires, all the way down and around. And if you get a little bit of extra Solarez on there, like I always do, just take my fingers, pinch it real quick. You can see the extra right there. Gets rid of it. Nice and slim body, no extra UV light. Cure that Solarez for us. There we go. Next up, a little bit of color behind the bead. This is Hareline Ice Dub in Peacock. Let's see, there we go. Hareline Ice Dub in Peacock, because it has a wonderful copper and rusted copper color to it. A little bit of copper, a little bit of green. There we are. Dub up the thread. And always with dubbing, when you think you've got too much, when you think you have enough, you probably have too much. You can always add. A little bit more difficult to take it off once it's there. Like I did, always. Too much as usual. There we go. All right, that's everything for the body right there. Quick whip finish. I always give my flies, any fly, little nymphs, big streamers, whatever it is, a couple of whip finishes. In case one fails, there's one or two backing it up. And with this stuff, since everything on this fly happens to be copper colored, you don't have to worry about that collar behind the bead showing. Stays on theme either way. And the last part, my absolute favorite part. With this fly, with the top secret midge, anything that has a little wing on it. This is why I left that thread hanging out up front, so we can pull forward on that little lasso, line up the scissors, and cut. And that gives us that little forward wing there. And that little forward wing being where it is on the fly as it's going through the water gives it a lot of motion. This stuff, when it's this short, gets really, really stiff. So as the water is going over it, it's gonna create a lot of turbulence for that fly, get it moving around all directions. Really jumping in the water, give the fish something to look for. And yeah, this is kind of an attractor pattern, so if you believe in attractors, this thing definitely gets attention. A lot of sparkle, a lot of shine. That is exactly what the fish is going to be seeing right there. Just like that. A little bit of copper, a little bit of rusted copper, that green tone in there, here and there. And that's my penny dreadful. Hopefully you liked it. If you do, you can pick up the materials at AvidMax or online at avidmax.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, really helps us out. Until next time, friends, tight lines.